Yeah, and today we're going to talk about the U.S. Constitution. But what I wanted to talk about first, because I feel like it's something that we kind of ignore, or it's one of those things that it existed and then you move on, is the Articles of Confederation, that there was something before the Constitution. But I feel like it's not really talked about or, a part of school curriculum. So, can you talk about what exactly the Articles of Confederation were and sort of what was the plan of government under them?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. What an exciting subject for this launch of your second season of your wonderful podcast, The Forms of Government. How are we governed? We are in a presidential year where we will select our new executive leader. One of the things our first situation of government didn't have was an executive, and the Articles of Confederation is what you asked me about. The Articles of Confederation are essentially, it's a treaty of friendship between 13 sovereign states. And it was our original alliance of the different states. So in this country, of course, we declared independence. So we had this thing called the Continental Congress, and it was just a group of colonies that sent these representatives, and they were, complaining to Parliament. They eventually started fighting a war against the British forces. They took over the army. George Washington was appointed a commander-in-chief. All this was done before there was any kind of formal government between all these different colonies in rebellion, essentially. So you have the 13 original British colonies in rebellion, fighting a war. And then it isn't until, of course, the June of 1776, there's a motion made by Richard Henry Lee of Virginia at the Continental Congress, and he says, I'm moving that we are, by all rights, free and independent states. And everybody agreed. Okay, that's what we'll do. And so let's draft a Declaration of Independence. Well, there's actually 3 committees that came out of Lee's resolution. And one of them drafted the Declaration of Independence, and that's the famous one that gets all the love and attention. And the other committee drafted the Articles of Confederation, an agreement of union. And in fact, for many people at the Continental Congress, that was the most important committee. Like the Declaration, yes, we got to formally tell everybody that we're declaring that we're independent. But the thing that really matters is how are we going to govern ourselves at this moment? So the Articles Committee, which is chaired by John Dickinson, I believe, Delaware's own John Dickinson, famous as the guy who wrote letters from a Pennsylvania farmer, even though he was from Delaware. Hard for the people of Delaware to celebrate that achievement. But at any rate, they're probably all Eagles fans nowadays anyway, so who cares, right? But so the Articles of Confederation came out of this committee. It was formed at the same time that we decided to declare independence, because you got to have a government. In fact, John Adams, I think, argued that you have to have a government before you declare independence. But apparently he lost that vote. And they put him on the Declaration Committee, right? So at any rate,
it would take it too long to have him on the other one, probably.
Yeah. So this one took a long time too. So basically, the Articles of Confederation weren't ratified, first of all, by the Congress. The Continental Congress agreed to the Articles, which is a series of articles, which is basically saying this is a league of friendship. All the states retain their sovereignty, except in these cases, and kind of lays it out pretty straightforward. It was agreed to by the Continental Congress in 77, I think in the fall of 77. And then it wasn't formally adopted by all the states because it had to be unanimously agreed to. And that wasn't done until March of 1781. So the war went on and on for years without a formal government running things. And in 1781, of course, is the year of the Battle of Yorktown. So the Articles gets in at the good part, at the big victory, and then that government this treaty lasts until the ratification of the Constitution of the United States. So it lasts officially from 1781 until 1789, when the new government under the Constitution comes into effect. So what is you're going to be your next question, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much, because it is definitely something that gets skipped over. To be honest, I, until this conversation, had no idea that they were drafted at the same time as the Declaration of Independence. That's new information to me. But it makes
Well,
sense
but you
that
think
was the
about
more
it, though.
important one.
Think about it, though, Isaac, because here's the situation. It's like we're going to declare independence, but
Right.
what are we becoming? You know,
Right.
Right.
and that was kind of one of the things that delayed that vote on independence. Was shouldn't we establish some sort of more formal government and then declare? So there's a lot of moving parts going on. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and I guess the
Absolutely.
declaration is more of a press release than anything else, and then the articles actually
Yeah.
are doing something. Right?
It should be
Right.
studied in media classes. It's a brilliant press release. I know you've already talked about the declaration, but it is exactly that. It's a press release that keeps on giving too.